Chart number 2, because they gave us, we got the parking for like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, well, then, no, you're right, they should, right, then they should
Yeah,
have to vote.
we're good on that one, but the other one,
Yeah, okay, all
the
right.
other ones. That one, but they don't have.
That's what, got it. So you got a microphone. Jeffrey's on his way.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to talk about that last item.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, this one. Heather, if you'll do the opening statement for us. I call the March meeting of the Planning Commission to order.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission is a recommending body. The final decision on all zoning matters coming before it will be made by the Augusta Commission on Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024 at 2 p.m. in the Augusta Commission chambers at the Municipal Building. The Planning Commission makes the final decisions on all variances, including subdivision regulations. A handout describing the zoning procedures for which these cases are decided is available upon request. These procedures also require that any applicant for a rezoning action or any opponent to an application for a rezoning action who has made contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official within the 2 years of the rezoning application to file a disclosure report with the governing authority. The disclosure report must be filed within 10 calendar days of filing the application and at least 10 calendar days prior to today's hearing. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a rezoning petition or a special exception. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The Commission encourages participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the Commission within the allotted time. But the Commission does ask that the public comments be brief, on subject, and non-repetitive, and directed to the Commissioners, not to any individual or group.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have a couple updates to our agenda in your packet. The first update is parking variance 24-01, agenda item number 2. If anyone is here for this petition, 109 Charleston Way, this application has been resolved without the need of a variance. They were able to accomplish the parking requirements, so it will not be heard today, okay? All right. Item number 4 on the agenda, which is the subdivision variance 24-02, a petition by Mr. Baldwin on behalf behalf of Ms. Kim, requesting a subdivision variance to the Section 405 of the Land Subdivision Regulations of Augusta, Georgia, in order to subdivide one parcel into 3 parcels, one of which would be landlocked, affecting property containing approximately 24 acres located at 1607 Hepzibah McBean Road, and it was zoned agriculture. In regards to this particular application, the applicant has requested to postpone this particular decision so that he may work on a better design. So what we would be looking for from the commission, the Planning Commission, is a motion to accept postponement for 30 days so that the applicant can come up with a better design. And those are the 2 changes.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to postpone.
Postpone.
Without prejudice.
Second that.
Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a second.
All in favor of the postponement of SV 2402, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, so it has been postponed to April 1st, 2024, at 3 p.m.
The next item on the agenda is going top to bottom, subdivision variance 23-03. It is a petition by Cranston Engineering on behalf of JJLJ LLC, requesting a subdivision variance from Section 405-F of the Land Subdivision Regulations in order to create a parcel with no direct access to a public street affecting property containing approximately 1.69 acres located at 2635 Perimeter Parkway. This is in page 2 of your booklet. Staff will present.
All right, Kevin Boyd, Development Services Manager. This item is a carryover from last year, back in November of 2023. This item was on the agenda, was to come before you all for consideration. Staff had advised the applicant to coordinate with the adjacent property owner to establish a private road maintenance agreement rather than seeking a land subdivision variance in their efforts to create a landlocked parcel using the existing shared driveway. So this request is a subdivision variance from Section 405F of the Land Subdivision Regulations, and they're seeking an exception from the rules to create a parcel with no direct access to a public street. And so specifically, this property involves a 1.69 acre tract located at 2635 Perimeter Parkway. This property is situated about 433 feet east of the intersection with Wheeler Road. This property is split zone. And well, we won't do that. So this property is split zone. It's agricultural towards the very back and has predominantly B2 zoning, general business. And so this property contains a 27 square foot business, Jiffy Lube, and it also has a 2,400 square foot building with associated parking. And the applicant intends to separate this property, do a subdivision, and it would be split into 2 tracts, parcels 1 and 2. Parcel 1 would have direct abutting access to Perimeter Parkway. Parcel 2 would be slightly larger, 0.94 acres, situated behind Parcel 1 with no direct abutting access. The access to that Parcel 2 would be reliant on the shared drive. And so with the proposal for subdividing a property, there would be minimum or no improvements made to the shared drive for the future development. Again, the property is situated in the Ag and B2 zone. There were discussions about consolidating the zoning under a B2 once this process was completed, but we're still at a point of providing the access. And so Perimeter Parkway is identified as a local minor road based on the Georgia Department of Transportation functional classification map. There are no sidewalks that exist on either side of the street. And so the applicant has reached out to the adjacent property owner, which happens to be an extended stay business, and had discussions for several weeks and presented a perpetual maintenance agreement for a roadway for that shared access, including allocating costs. And so it is it's a shared driveway, so there is expenses naturally to keep, the ongoing maintenance. But, with this perpetual agreement, it would have been sort of agreed formal established between the two properties and recorded. And so the adjacent property owner is opposed to selling a portion of the property and converting the existing shared drive into what would create the private road. So we're back at square one. In order to make the private road agreement a reality, there would have to be a consensus between two properties. And so the extended stay owner is not in agreement. And so since that sort of is not transpiring the way that it should, they're back to seeking the variance for the landlocked portion in the back. And so in all of that, we have not received any inquiries from the surrounding area, anyone in opposition or in favor of this request, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. Is the petitioner present?
I'm sorry. The applicant? You're asking is the applicant present?
Applicant, petitioner, whichever.
The petitioner? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Mr. Cheeley, I don't see anyone from Cranston here on this project.
And they have been notified of the of this meeting.
They have been notified, right? Sam?
My supposition is that, assuming that there, I believe that the commission can take action today. They're not required to postpone. And one of the options is that you can summarily deny, or summarily recommend for denial, for failure to attend the hearing. Yeah, our recommendation, so our recommendation at this point is just to table this until the end of the meeting, so that we can make contact with the applicant and figure out if we can get someone down here by the end of the meeting.
Because you're a final decision maker on this, we don't want to be premature in case something happened with the mailings or anything like that.
I agree.
And, we did send it certified mail though, so let us, we didn't get the green card back yet, but if you'll allow us to check on that, we'll do that, okay?
Good. So we will postpone that one?
Just
We'll
to the
bring
end
on
of
that?
the meeting, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
just table till the end of the meeting.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda, Z-24-04, a petition by Morton McGann requesting a rezoning from Zone B1 Neighborhood Business to Zone LI Light Industrial affecting property containing approximately .36 acres located at 2228 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is on page 17 in your packets. Staff will present.
Good afternoon. I'm Ashley Catterton. I'm the Development Services Administrator. And this petition today is seeking to rezone 0.36 acres. The property contains a 1,200 square foot commercial building where an automotive business is currently operating. The request is to change the zoning from B1, that's neighborhood business, to LI, light industry. And this is to allow for an automobile sales lot and a repair shop on the property. And this property is part of the South Turpin Hill neighborhood, which is located within the Old Augusta character area. As I mentioned previously, there is an automotive business currently operating on the property, and I put up on the screen so you can see those pictures. And according to previous licensing records from the City of Augusta Planning and Development Department, a used auto sales business operated on the property from 2017 to 2019. Adjacent to the property, there is K&P Auto Machine Shop, and that is currently zoned LI, so light industry. Another automotive business zoned B1 is located beside it, approximately 200 feet from the property, near the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and 15th Street. And there are also 2 automotive businesses located approximately a quarter of a mile northeast of the property along 15th Street. Plus, there are 2 more located approximately a tenth of a mile west towards Milledgeville Road. The adjacent property is zoned R3A, which is multiple family residential. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is identified as a principal arterial route. The nearest transit stop is along Route 6, and that's located approximately 313 yards west of the property. Public water and sewer are present in the area. The subject property is not within a flood zone. There are no wetlands present on this property. The proposal is consistent with aspects of the 2023 comprehensive plan, and it's compatible with the surrounding zoning and land uses. And at the time of completion of this staff report, we have not received any inquiries regarding this application. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd come up to the microphone and give us your name and address.
My name is Morton McGann. The address.
Martin, get close to the microphone so we can.
Morton McGann. Inquiring about 2228 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
His address, for the record, his address.
My address is 1072 Hampstead Place, Martinez.
And give us just a brief description of what you want to do, of what you want to accomplish.
I'm trying to get an automotive repair shop and some used car sales.
Okay. Is anyone here opposed to this project? Seeing none, anyone here in approval of this project? Any commissioners have a question?
The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request, changing the zoning from the property from B1 to LI with the following conditions. Number 1, a site plan is required before the zoning can be implemented. The landscape requirements must also be met before the rezoning and business license can be updated. Number 2, all off-street parking shall meet the parking standards set forth in Section 4 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. Number 3, no vehicles may be stored on the property. No vehicles may be serviced within 50 feet of the R-zone boundary. This excludes vehicles being sold. This concludes staff's recommendation.
Sir, did you hear the recommendations?
Yes, I did.
Do you agree to them?
Yes.
I have a question before he agrees to it. He mentioned that he wanted to sell cars from that.
Yeah.
So he'll be moving cars if they can't be stored.
Okay.
How will he sell cars on the property?
The sales vehicles being sold are not storage. That's just where they are for right now, right?
Okay.
But what we're talking about is cars that are just being stored for the purpose of potentially being worked on, because he's going to have automotive repair and sales. So the cars for sale are excluded, and I think I stated that in the condition that this excludes vehicles being sold.
Motion to approve a condition.
Second.
Lots of seconds.
That's it.
Sounds
Thank you.
unanimous there.
Don't leave
Now, the motion to approve
With the condition.
conditions. Z 2404, we do roll call vote? All in favor?
All in favor?
Everybody sound good? All in favor of approving Z2404 with staff recommendation, say aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, so Z2404 has been approved with staff recommendation.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. The next item on the agenda is number 5, Z-24-12. It is a petition by JSMG Development LLC requesting to amend Condition 1 of the rezoning case Z-22-50 affecting properties containing approximately 6.56 acres located at 3125 Richmond Hill Road. It is currently zoned R3B. Staff will present. This is page 31 in your packet.
Hello again. This is Ashley. And I'm the Development Service Administrator for the Planning Development Department. And this request is a petition seeking to amend Condition 1 in the zoning case Z-2250 to revise the conceptual plan from the 6.56 acre property located on Richmond Hill Road, just south of the Bobby Jones Expressway overpass. The conceptual plan was previously approved for a 2-story apartment complex consisting of 112 units, whereas the revision is proposing to construct 9 one-story buildings that will consist of 39 townhomes for fee simple ownership, as well as a dog park. Furthermore, a 50-foot buffer is proposed to be provided along the right-of-way of Richmond Hill Road, as well as 40% of the property is going to be dedicated to open space. Okay. And this property is part of the South Augusta character area. And as mentioned previously, the applicant is requesting to modify the conceptual site plan, and I've put it on the screen above to a revision to the previously approved zoning case to Z-2250. And this 6.5 acre property was rezoned from R1A, 1-family residential, to R3B, which was multiple family residential. Approval of this zoning request would allow for the revision of the conceptual plan to include townhomes. According to the revised conceptual plan submitted with this application, 39 one-story residential townhomes are being proposed for the property, including 10 guest parking spaces and a dog park. And I've put it up on the screen for you guys. Okay. According to the Augusta Fire Department and Plans Examiner, the cul-de-sacs must measure at least 96 feet in diameter, whereas one shown on the revised conceptual plan submitted with the application is actually 80 feet in diameter. There are existing single-family homes across Richmond Hill Road to the east, zoned R1A, 1-family residential, and there is existing commercial use and vacant land to the south, zoned B2, which is general business. The property directly to the southwest and west has existing industrial uses, including a borrow pit mining operation, which is HI, heavy industrial zoning. The revised conceptual plan submitted with the application shows a 50-foot landscape buffer along Richmond Hill Road that will shield the townhome community from the single-family residential homes located across Richmond Hill Road. Based on the comments received by the traffic engineer, it has been determined that a traffic impact study is not required at this time. A declaration lane and passing lane may be required during the site plan approval process. Richmond Hill Road is identified as a minor arterial route. Public water and sewer are present in the area. The subject property is not within a flood zone, and there are no wetlands present on this property. The proposal is consistent with the aspects of the 2023 comprehensive plan and compatible with the surrounding zoning and land uses. And at the time of completion of this report, staff has received inquiries regarding this application. And that concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you'd come up and give us your name and address and a brief outline of your petition.
It's Gary Thigpen, 1030 Jimmy Dice Parkway, and representing for JSMG Development. In short, we're just rezoning the property from the apartments that were 112 units to the townhomes, very simply for market demand and feasibility in the project.
Thank you, sir. Anyone opposed to this project?
I have a question, not really opposing yet.
Would you come up to the microphone and state your name and address and ask your questions, please? And please address the commission, not the petitioner.
Okay. And I'm Alan Thompson, live at 3135 Richmond Hill Road. And what my question is, I want to know, is this going to be low-income apartments that he's putting up? And another thing for the...
Sir, I'm going to have to call that question out of order.
Okay. For the travel part of that part, they already using that road as a racetrack as it is now. And there's cut through from Windsor Springs and Lumpkin Road, Highway 1, all that. And in the morning times when you're trying to get out, you can hardly get out of that road there as it is. When they put all this there, then that's just going to make it even more of a traffic jam, where they're saying they don't have to do a revised or something like that for the traffic part of it. Now, I got a 83-year-old mother that lives right there, and she's been there all that time, and I just want to make sure she's going to be all right, is my biggest thing.
Okay. Any other questions? Sir, if you'll come up and give us your name and address, and are you opposed or just asking a question?
Not opposed to it. And he and I talked about this thing, and I'm glad they changed the design of it. My name is John Weigel, and I live at 3133 Richmond Hill Road, the B2 property next to this property. And what my concern is, you address this, and he may be able to address this. What protection are they going to give my property from this property? Are they going to put a buffer on my side where I live, or am I going to butt up against them?
Sir, you want to answer that question? To us,
Because they kind of redesigned the entire program, which is a good thing.
I understand. We'll give them just a few minutes.
I'd had to just check the record to make sure it was an accurate statement. So we're going to be in line with the 10-foot buffer that was required, the same as it was with the apartment complex requirement.
Okay.
Thank you. Any commissioners have a question? Staff recommendation? Recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I got one question.
Okay.
Do you have so the elevation that you've given here, it has the exact same houses. I call it cookie cutter houses. Would you have a problem with having a maximum of 3 identical facades without changing up that as seen from the road?
To be specific, you're referring to the exterior facade of it as far as changing the variance of how they look, or the specific elevation?
On how they look, saying, you know, you could toss up using brick versus siding, or half siding, half brick.
Okay.
You know the deal, putting up a louver, all that kind of good stuff. We're just trying to avoid the cookie cutter look that you got right here.
Since the buildings are not sold to a builder yet, that determination would be up to them as far as their pricing structure and as far as the purchaser of what they would select in the process of buying. I don't see where they would be opposed to it, but it would be a section by, or a building by building. Does that answer your question? Since I'm not building
I think
the,
it does. I think what you're saying is that you're gonna sell a group of these to a builder, and that builder's gonna design.
that's correct. The elevations as far as the roof lines and so forth will all be consistent across the board. Now, if a buyer comes in and says they want a brick water table or they want a brick accent, you know, that's up to the buyer and according to what they want to purchase. That doesn't have anything to do with me.
All I'm asking is that I can put a requirement in there that you don't have but a minimum of 3 of them that look the same, and then you'll change up.
Now, preferably not due to the financial aspect it would put on the buyer. And I'm unable to determine what the pricing structure would be based upon if they wanted to do brick or if they wanted to do stone accents here or there.
Carla, do you have like the wording that we were?
There shall be a minimum of 3 different facades used throughout the development.
Okay.
I can do them throughout, that's not a problem, but I don't want to be very specific on like these buildings and so forth, if that helps.
Staff recommendation?
Okay. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of, I'm sorry. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the request to remove condition number 1. In addition to that, the Planning and Development staff is recommending that the property be rezoned from R3B to R1E with the following conditions. Number 1, the proposed townhome community shall substantially comply with the concept site plan submitted with the rezoning application. Number 2, the minimum lot width shall be 26 feet as indicated on the concept plan. The maximum number of dwelling units shall be 39. Number 3, the approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. Condition number 4, the development of the property shall comply with all developmental standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amended at the time of of development. And condition number 5, there shall be a minimum of 3 different facades used throughout the development. This concludes staff's recommendation.
Sir, do you agree with those recommendations?
I do.
I make a motion to approve the staff recommendations.
I second.
Have a motion and a second?
So that was a motion to approve Z2412 with staff 5 recommendations. All in favor of the approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, so Z2412 has been approved.
Chairman, can I do a personal, can the builder get with the guy about his mother, address that, about going in and out? We never answered that question.
No, he was just trying to.
Are you referring to the traffic question?
Yeah, I guess they'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is ZAR-261. It's a request to amend the comprehensive zoning ordinance by amending section 26-1 to establish criteria for the granting of a special exception pertaining to low THC oil dispensaries pursuant to Georgia Regulations 16-12-215A. This is on page 40 of your packet. Our staff attorney, Samuel Mellor, will present.
Samuel Mellor, Senior Staff Attorney, Law Department. This request came from us from the commission, the full commission, asking the Planning Commission to consider creating a system using OCGA that's allowed under OCGA, just 1 second. (16-12-215A). So generally, under the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Act, entities that have a dispensing license cannot be established within 1,000 feet of a covered entity. A covered entity includes a public-private school, early care and education program, church, synagogue, or other place of public religious worship. And so the commission is asked to consider a way of, pursuant to that act, allowing someone to apply through our ordinance to allow for a location within the 1,000 feet of a covered entity. We have presented some proposed language to the commission, and that should have been passed out to you in the pre-meeting. I believe that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission?
Do you just need a motion to move forward, Chairman?
Wait a minute.
I believe you have someone from the public, maybe? And we want to make sure we give the public a chance to speak also.
Okay. Ma'am, if you would come up and give us your name and address, and they want to talk about the proposal, is that what you're saying?
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Vic Johnson. I own Living Well Pharmacy at 3736 Mike Patchen Highway. We have been in business in South Richmond County for 11 years as of next month, and serve the patients of Richmond County. This is to add to our caring of patients in Richmond County. The Georgia Medical Cannabis Commission has already approved a way for selected disease states that if patients qualify, they can get a medical card for low THC oil. There is very limited availability to obtain low THC oil in this area for our Richmond County residents. These cards are issued by the Department of Public Health, so at the health department. The patients have to go through a process with their physician to get the card. There are approximately 20 different medical conditions that qualify you to have the card. The products are such as tinctures, which are little drops that go under the tongue, creams, capsules. This is not the Wild West. This is not anything that people can smoke or grind up or make it. This is a low THC oil dispensary. As Attorney Sam mentioned, we're just looking for a variance which the state has allowed pharmacies to dispense the low THC oil, but they wanted to protect the areas that are that would be subject. Our pharmacy is near about 700 and so feet away from a church. This is not a regular church that has a daycare or that they, as far as I know, they just have Sunday services. They're in an abandoned Dollar General building that is also in, that was a zone business. We don't face that building. We're in the shopping center area where the Food Lion and Southern Family Medical Center is my doctor's office that is next to me. And of course, when we are approved, we do have to get licensed, of course, a separate license from the Georgia Board of Pharmacy. So everything, again, is pharmaceutical grade. This is not anything like the CBD products that are being sold wildly everywhere. And of course, when we do obtain our permit, this is not going to be, I won't be putting up any neon green signs with a cannabis leaf on it or whatever saying that we've got a dispensary here. Again, this is a medical issue with certain medical conditions where patients can be helped. And that concludes what I have to say. I do have Ms. Tracy Smith here. She's the Vice President of the Commercial Operations. In the state of Georgia, there are only 2 licensed operations, and she represents Botanical Sciences. And if there's any questions that the commission would have, she'd probably be a little bit more equipped to handle those at this point than I would be.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the commission?
I have a question.
Yeah, I have one too.
Approximately how many patients are you expecting to service?
You mean in his dispensary or in the state of Georgia?
In his dispensary.
Well,
Talk about the patients that you would be like that are a good fit, like your diabetics.
yeah. I mean, the folks that would have the disease states that would qualify, of course, my doctor's office next to me is a family practice, so they see all types of disease states. And just to give you some examples, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, Crohn's disease, PTSD, multiple sclerosis. Those are, very specialized diseases. If you wanted me to guess, probably 6 to 10 patients a day. That's a goal that I would be looking at getting to. I do not have information from the Richmond County Health Department of how many cards that they have issued yet for patients, but I know that they are issuing cards.
If you don't,
I guess this is for the attorney, if I can be very clear on this. If we don't offer a variance, we'll follow state guidelines. Is that correct?
do you mind if I say a few things? Just for,
I'm asking an attorney right now, thank
I
you.
apologize.
So the default, without another path forward, would be a 1,000-foot buffer for locating dispensing licensees from those covered entities. And that would be the default if there was no pathway through the ordinance to allow, pathway in our ordinance to allow for that.
I got a couple of questions, Commissioner. And I guess this would be for Sam. So I imagine that for a business to be able to dispense the product that we're discussing, there are some strict requirements from the state that would say, okay, we give you the authority to dispense this product. Is that fair to say? Any business, I imagine they're strict and they're not loose enough that any business would be able to say, okay, we want to be a dispensary and we are allowed to dispense this type of product.
So I would think that the woman from Botanical Sciences could answer that question a little more accurately than I could, but I believe that the answer is that there are very strict regulatory guidelines in terms of dispensing licensees, as well as the manufacturing and processing products. So the entire supply chain is actually fairly well regulated, from the actual plant to the dispensing licensee. And the details, Botanical Sciences would have much better idea of the details than I would.
Yeah, before she answers, my second question will be, and I guess it might be better for her to answer, but the second question is, knowing that the state has a guideline of the 1,000 feet, in Richmond County, do we have anybody who operates outside of 1,000 feet who dispenses the product?
I don't know off the top of my head if there are any dispensing licensees located in Richmond County at the present.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Chair, I don't know if you would.
So I think it's a lack of knowledge.
Do you-
Because we're, and that's where I'm coming
I
with this
would love
question.
to jump in if you guys want me to.
So maybe, and I know we don't want to sit up here and hear all the knowledge you got, because you probably got hours of it. So maybe we could get some type of brochure or something that would make us feel comfortable.
Can I start with the high level of a few things that you may not know? And forgive me, it's just been recently published. Does the GMA, the Georgia Municipal Association, govern some of the decisions that you make? Would that be fair to say? Rusi Patel and my general counsel just worked together closely with the Medical Cannabis Commission of Georgia to create what's called a setback guide. And that guide is published on their website. And I would be happy to share a link with you. And that guide specifically helps you on how to know when and how to grant these types of special circumstances. In this particular case, you brought up a very good point. Is there anyone else selling that product? One of the foundations of this program was to bring a non-addictive drug to people to be able to use for pain management. Is one of the most, when we pulled up the statistics that the Georgia Department of Health gave, 55% of people who are getting the card are specifically getting it to treat pain. And it's because they don't want to be on opioids anymore. They don't want to be on addictive drugs that are stopping them in their tracks. And so they have found that this product, and 43 other states are already doing this, that it is imperative for us to offer this as a solution so that we can get people off of these, euphoric drugs that are making them non-functioning. So that's to answer one of your questions, is there isn't access. The Georgia created, it was the first state in the country to create a pharmacy dispensing program and not just have it at the dispensaries like Botanical Sciences or Trulieve, the other Class 1 license. To tell you what a Class 1 license means, Botanical Sciences grows the product in Glenville, Georgia. We produce it, we test it, it becomes pharmaceutical grade, and then it is in a very secure automobile transport with 2 people in the car, basically like armed transport, going to our dispensaries. You cannot become a dispensing location unless you are Botanical Sciences, Trulieve, or an approved pharmacist, which has to go through the Georgia Board of Pharmacy. Our founder was a pain management doctor for 25 years in Atlanta, and the reason why he started this business was to help patients get off of opioids and create a pharmaceutical-grade product. And he never even contemplated doing it without the partnership of pharmacies. And the reason why is to meet the state's guidelines of making this accessible. With 5 dispensaries in the state of Georgia, we can't come anywhere near reaching these patients. And I joined this company. I came from a completely different industry because I saw the benefits of what this was doing for autistic children, for MS, for pain, for cancer. There are so many benefits to this. And so we would very much think that the best place for a lot of these patients to go get this medicine is through their pharmacy, because they can talk about the other medications they're on and make sure that they're taking it properly. Nothing we do is smokable. There's no flour. I wish I had the boxes with me to show you. They literally look like pharmacy-grade products. They're all held behind the counter, and you can't just dispense them. So just that tells you a little bit more.
And I like I said, but where I'm at on this is that I still am hesitant, and I think I've already heard from one of the real commissioners is that if we do pass something, that they're just going to bring it back to us until we have a knowledge on why 1,000 feet or 500 feet or it is a good thing, okay? And that's something that I need help on, and I can't speak for everybody else, but
I see the need for what you're saying, and I guess my biggest concern is if by offering a variance different from the state, when the next company comes in, we're going to have to listen to the 500 feet, maybe a 400 feet, and that's my concern. I do understand your need.
Yeah, let me clarify just a little bit, and you may not have caught that when Tracy said their company is only allowed 5 in the entire state. The other company is allowed 5 in the entire state. The only other place that this can be dispensed at is through a pharmacy. So you can't decide, a businessman can't come in here and decide, even if they had more than 1,000 feet buffer, they can't come in and say, we'd like to apply for a medical dispensing cannabis license. That's not possible. So,
I think I missed.
yes.
I got a question. So you're saying like Truly?
That's the other company.
That's the other company. And you are
We're
the one-
Botanical, or she represents Botanical
So there's
Science.
2 Class 1 licenses. One is True Leaf, and they grow down in, I'm not sure what city it is.
Yeah, I know.
and
I
then
know.
Bot-
I know about True Leaf.
And
That's
then,
fine.
but and they're Florida-based.
Yeah,
We are Georgia-grown, Georgia-based, Georgia-owned. And so we take a lot of pride in that. And Vic, is one of the best pharmacists and has a lot of patients that are asking for this medicine.
Okay, and so I'm trying to understand, if you have 5 and True Leaf have 5, so it's only 10 for the whole state, correct? So out of those 10, how many already have the license?
So all 10 of those are, I don't know if True Leaf has all of theirs open. We have 4 of ours open, and we are looking at the 5th location right now. And so once those are, opened, that's it. That's it. And so I think the biggest challenge right now is if without the pharmacy channel, the closest Botanical Sciences to here is a little over 2.5 hours down in Pooler, Georgia. And so what can we provide for you all to, because what I'd really like to understand is what the hesitation is. Is it just the feet, making an exception, and then, or is it about the product?
I don't think we've reached the point where we can make that decision. That's what we're all puzzled about.
I had concerns because I didn't think that there would be a limit to the number of dispensaries that would be available, because my understanding was 156 prescriptions currently in Richmond County. There's a dispensary, I believe, in Columbia County, and I just don't want to see, and I can understand in neighborhoods you wouldn't want to see a dispensary popping up here, popping up there. So that was one of the things that you have.
So that's a really good question. It can grow over time, but here's how the state set it up, I believe. And I don't want to, for whatever reason, I'm forgetting the exact number. Right now, we only have, I think it's 14,000 people registered for a medical card in the state of Georgia. And I believe we have to grow it an additional 25,000 in order for them to grant us possibly another location. So it takes a long time. It's a lot of work, which is why the pharmacy channel is so important, because it does put it in the neighborhood of the patient.
The concern I have right now is that there are patients in Richmond County that have the card. There's no place for them to go. And pharmacies would be the easiest way. And I'm not, this is coming before you all. And like I said, it's so new. It's new even for me, because we were only approved in July by the Board of Pharmacy so that we could start this process.
One more
Yes,
question.
yes, ma'am.
So right now, do you know if the legislative is looking towards limiting it only to pharmacies?
At this point, other than the dispensaries, for example, the one that is in Columbia County, has no medical personnel. They are a dispensary, which is what the state is limiting to 5 per each company. Whereas pharmacies obviously will have to have, you can't be open, a pharmacy cannot be open without a licensed pharmacist on duty. So there will always be a licensed pharmacist there to provide, medical counseling in addition to but again, my biggest concern is that the pharmacy is going to be the easiest way to be able to have patient access. And right now, just because, I meet all the other requirements, just because there's a church like I said, I'm not making any disparaging marks, but I mean, they're in an old abandoned Dollar General. You know, it's not the traditional type of worship area that you usually see. And just because that business is down the road on Mike Padgett, that I'm being prevented from at least trying to help folks in Richmond County that, again, are eligible to get this. They just don't have any place to go.
Thank you.
Question, Commissioner, just to satisfy my curiosity. So if I understand correctly, pharmacies have the ability to do this. Is there, but you're saying there's nowhere to go. Is there a particular reason why pharmacies aren't dispensing this, like the pharmacies in our area?
You may answer.
Huh?
You can go.
Yeah. Just because again, the Georgia Board of Pharmacy started this in July. I think the first pharmacy that got approved may have been in September. I did started talking about what we would need to do if we were in that zone. I talked with somebody at the staff at the Planning Commission, and they helped me figure out that no, we had that church within the 1,000 feet. So, this process is just ground along. But there are numerous pharmacies in the state who have gotten already approved. I'm just trying to get in the line.
I have a question for legal.
Okay, go ahead.
Sam, as we stand today, can a pharmacist, provided they're outside 1,000 feet, can they get a license to
The answer, so the answer to your question is yes. So long as they meet all the other requirements, they can apply and be granted a dispensing license, so long as they're not in violation of 215A.
Gotcha. Thank you.
A question. You say your company is only allowed to give out 5, right? The pharmacists do not fit under that term of dispensaries. They can do their own thing. You can only have 5 sole dispensaries in a particular area right now.
In the whole state.
In the whole state.
In the whole state of Georgia.
Now, you had, sir, you had
Yes.
mentioned before you were hoping to get to 6 to 10 people per day or per week.
Well, per day would probably be a goal. It's going to start, very slow. The whole program's in its infancy, but I would hope that we would see 6 to 10 patients a day.
Those are different individuals.
Different individuals, yes.
So you're hoping to see 300 people something a month in our area.
Well, again, we're a typical Monday through Friday. I'm open a half a day on Saturday, but Monday through Friday, we generally say that we're open about 21, 22 business days a month, not the traditional 30. We would not be open on Sunday, just like we're not open on Sunday now. My business hours are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon on Saturday, and that's not going to change just because I'm dispensing THC oil. I'm not. This is not a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day pharmacy.
So it's about 125 to 130.
We were told that there are 156 licenses currently in Richmond County. You're projecting, hopefully, 210 on a monthly basis. So it's growing already. The amount of prescriptions are being given is already growing. Okay, I appreciate that because that was something I was looking.
Yeah, and obviously, just getting on a pharmacy type, just a little bit. Of course, when I say 6 to 10, it may start out with 1 or 2, then it's 3, but then those people come back, so it's like a refill in addition to the growth. So when I say 6 to 10, then we're talking about the repeat business in addition to, as the whole program is growing. So that's that. Yeah.
I appreciate that clarity.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking, were you expecting to see new individuals? But with that, a particular prescription will last how long?
Hell, right now, the Medical Cannabis Commission, once the physician has done all the paperwork for the patient and the patient gets their card from the health department, it's on the patient and the responsibility at the dispensary to record all but there are no prescriptions.
It's a two-year, once you get your card, which looks very much like your Georgia driver's license, it has a 2-year expiration. And when they enter his location, which we provide all the technology for him, the card is put into a system. And much like when you go to a doctor now and you can see that they're looking up the prescriptions that you're taking, it's the same sort of PDMP kind of horizontal like latitude of record, so that you know exactly what this patient has been taking. There's also maximum requirements, so a patient just can't keep coming back to the dispensary and buying. And so all of that is on a record, which makes it very like any other pharmacy product that you would obtain.
One last question. In your situation is a little bit different than I was anticipating, but your business has been established as a pharmacy for 11 years. The protected entity moved into a
Yes.
space near you, and that's precluding you from being able to participate in this new THC.
That's correct, sir.
So that's a scenario that worries me too. So, but thank you for that clarity.
Carla, do you have anything?
Yes, for educational purposes, when we talk about the low THC oil, and what format is it distributed in? I know we've heard about droplets. Is it administered on the site? Is it taken home? Can you talk a little bit about how the product, once it's given to the person, what that process looks like?
So the product comes in either a tincture, which I don't know if you've seen those types of droplet bottles, where and we're guiding the patient on exactly how to administer that product under the tongue, a few drops. It depends on their condition and whether they've ever used any sort of THC product before. And just so you know, too, most of these products are what we call a 1-to-1 combination of THC and CBD. So it's not just THC, okay? So that's one type of product. The other is a capsule, just like a Advil pill that you would take, which will have a longer release period. The tincture is going to be a little bit more fast acting. We also have some lozenges that the elders have really enjoyed because they're very low dose, and they use them at night to help them rest when they have pain. And then we have a cream that has been hugely advantageous for everybody from people with ailments to arthritis. I have actually a family member that had really arthritic hands, and until they used this product, weren't able to, handle a lot of the pain they were having. So cream, capsule, tincture, and the lozenge.
And they do just take, this is packaged up professionally and they take it home. It is not administered at the pharmacy, no.
And everything is behind the counter too, different from a CBD product that you might find, out on a shelf that you could purchase. You actually have to go up to the counter. He uses the point of sale system to run your card through and make sure that you haven't over-purchased, that you are a current medical card holder, and then you purchase the product from him with some guidance from him, and our company does thorough training on what those products, how they're best used.
What is over-purchase? How is that measured?
20 fluid ounces at one time, which is a lot of product, and so the state of Georgia never allows you to purchase more than that at one point. And the reason why the state of Georgia says they even put that amount on it was because there's a lot of caregivers that are traveling far to go get the product, and so they're trying to help them some. But no, you can't over-purchase. The system will actually prevent it from happening. And if I'll just say one other thing too, just personally speaking, I had a patient that I spoke to just recently who has cancer, and he is in chemotherapy. He could barely drive 30 minutes to our dispensary to get the product. And so I really hope that you'll consider this, because the best place for these patients to get the medicine is through their pharmacists, who can really look at their current medications and help and guide them on the best way to get this medicine.
You mentioned something, why do you think, you mentioned that Georgia set up what you just mentioned for a purpose. Why do you think Georgia originally used 1,000 feet?
So it's funny you say that. I have heard so many people say it was a major error on their part that they didn't tie it to like the same as an alcohol license. And they are already evaluating, trying to figure out, and you know how hard it is to move the needle with legislation. So a lot of the cities have treated these licenses more like an alcohol variance, right or wrong, indifferent. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And when they're, 500 feet, 700 feet, they're creating that for them, particularly when there's nobody else around in the area to provide that product. But to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know. I think that they thought they were doing the right thing, and now everyone's reevaluating what that might need to look like in the future.
How far is the alcohol variance?
It's 1,000 feet as well, but instead of it being property line to property line, it's door to door. So.
Sam, do you have anything else? No.
Sam. Thanks, Sam.
Just as a clarification, that 153, 56 number, that was current as of November. I have not reached out to DPH to give me an updated number, because the information on that registry is highly protected, and they were not willing to give me that original number at first.
What number is that, Sam? I might be able to.
People have gotten their card in Richmond County as of November is what he has.
I think at this point, we're probably ready to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we postpone for 30 days so we can evaluate some better information and get some information from our commissioners too on what they might approve.
I agree, it's complicated.
If I may, when we say more information, can we be more specific? Because a lot of information just came out right here. So when you say more information, what are you looking for the planning staff to go out or the attorney's office to go and bring back?
For 1,000 feet. It's a genesis of 1,000 feet.
And can we also see investigate what other municipalities are doing as it relates to anything outside of what the state has put in place?
So we definitely have some examples of where these have already been created in other cities, pharmacies that have been approved. I would be happy to get that information for you. Finding out the genesis, I have no idea. I do think it would be helpful, though, to take a look at the setback guide on the GMA's website so that you can see the language that they put in there that helps basically specific to this particular request. To me, the way I read it, and I'm not an attorney, but the way I read it is that it is paramount to establish that patients don't currently have access, and that would be the reason to give the special circumstance.
Right. James, is your microphone on? Okay.
Is it now? One question for you. If he would be one of your dispensers, right? But by him being a pharmacist, that would not be considered your fifth.
Correct.
You could still have a fifth dispensary in addition to a pharmacist dispensing your product.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Dispensaries are separate from the pharmacy channel.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I make a substitute motion that we approve with staff recommendations, send it to the full commission.
What's the staff recommendations?
Yeah, we don't have
I don't think.
The staff attorney did write a recommendation.
So I had proposed for the potential special exception, dispensing licensees under the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Act who wish to operate within a 1,000-foot radius of a covered entity, as that term is defined in OCGA 1612-2015A. 1, the dispensing licensee's locations needed to allow retail establishments to be established to service registered patients, as that term is defined in OCGA 1612-211, residing within Augusta, Georgia, and the dispensing licensee's location is in conformity with the comprehensive plan, and the dispensing licensee's operation shall be consistent with all applicable state permitting and licensing guidelines, and the Planning Commission shall determine that the foregoing requirements have been satisfied, and further that the benefits of the proposed dispensing licensees are greater than any possible depreciating effects and damages to neighboring properties.
That's the staff recommendation.
My substitute motion,
state the motion for me? Did he give it?
There's a motion to recommend dispensing licenses under Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Act who wish to operate within a 1,000-foot radius of a covered entity with the 4 defined criteria.
I thought the first motion was seconded.
It was, but he offered a substitute, so he's trying to get a second on his substitute.
Do we have a second?
There's no second. No second.
There is no second. Go back to the first motion.
Postpone.
To postpone for 30 days, right?
All right, a message to postpone, a motion. I'm sorry, I said message. Okay. All right, we need a vote, please.
So all in favor of the postponement of the CAR-261 application for our April 1st meeting, say aye.
I'm sorry. Roll call.
The roll call, okay. Commissioner O'Neill, how do you vote on the approval? You know, postpone.
Aye.
Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer?
Aye.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes to the postpone.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes to the postponement.
Commissioner Owens?
No to the postponement.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
And Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Right, so the postponement will be for our April 1st meeting, okay?
Thank you. Did we get a call back on the
Yes,
item?
Mr. Cheely is now here.
Okay.
If the chairman would allow, we would like to revisit subdivision variance 23-03. It's a petition by Cranston Engineering on behalf of JJLJ and LLC requesting a subdivision variance from section 405-F of the land subdivision regulations in order to create a parcel with no direct access to a public street affecting property containing approximately 1.69 acres located at 2635 Perimeter Parkway. This is all the way back at the beginning, page 2 of your application. Staff will present.
And
Well, staff already presented,
we
sorry.
present- yeah,
We'll hit the
now-
highlights if that's okay.
we do have the petitioner here at this time to address any concerns that you may have pertaining to the background presented and any additional information there.
We basically heard everything you had, right? Is the petition present? Sir, if you come up and give us your name and address and a little brief overview of your petition.
Good afternoon. I'm Lance Cheely with Cranston Engineering, 452 Ellis Street. First of all, let me please apologize for the delay. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've never been late or missed one of these meetings, and I would like to sincerely apologize for that. I don't know where the notice went, but I do want to apologize. So I not having heard the staff summary, I won't go fully. I'm sure you're aware of what the question is at hand. We have been in pursuit of this variance for, I believe the original variance was tabled in October. So we've been trying to work through this for a little while. What we have is an owner who has multiple business entities, and he has been trying to go through the process throughout the CSRA in multiple locations where he owns one franchise on a piece, or multiple franchises on a piece of property. And what he would like to do is be able to clear those up so that he has an LLC that's associated with each franchise owning the land that that franchise location is on. In this instance, there is nothing in the back, as you know, but they would still like to follow that same train of thought. Our initial conversations were that the only outstanding portion or the only outstanding variance that we would need was the street frontage, and that led to some more discussion with staff regarding the driveway access. The question at hand, as I believe it, is that staff would prefer if we had a public road or some sort of roadway that was dedicated so that the back property, when subdivided, would have access to the public street at Perimeter Parkway. our council and the gentleman who has represented the property owner for both properties here when it was originally subdivided believes that that is handled through a joint access agreement. There is a Part A easement and a Part B easement, and each give access running with the land to cross over onto that other easement. So the easement runs right down the middle of the driveway. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. It's a little bit obstructed because I believe the property line is running right down the middle, and then either one of those dotted lines is a partial access. So in effect, legally, I can't preclude you from coming on my side of the street, just as you can't preclude me on coming down your side of the street, because we would mutually exclude each other from access to the actual in-service businesses. This has been handled by our council in this way for numerous properties. We also have the same joint maintenance agreement. Each property owner is responsible for 50% of that access aisle. It's to their detriment if they don't agree to do theirs, because the other side of the aisle can be left to degrade as well. We understand that the staff would much rather see a different way. We've entertained trying to make a third party entity that each of the owners would then have to buy into, something like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Property Owners Association or something like that, that could hold that. Neither property owner is in favor of that. We've reached out to the hotel owner who's next door, and he's not willing to enter into any such agreement. He believes he has access by right as it stands now, and is not interested in setting up a third party. That was a staff recommendation that we pursued for a few months and were unable to achieve. So we would, last thing I would point out is that by right here, we can do, we're not looking to do something that's not by right. The sketch shows what we could do on a B2 zoning. The zoning was awarded previously. What we're really just asking for here, in effect, is to allow these business entities to own the land separately. So we just ask that you take that into consideration, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Staff recommendation?
The Planning and Development staff recommends denial of the subdivision variance, as approval of this request would create a landlocked parcel which is not allowed per our land subdivision regulations. Additionally, the easement is privately held, and the expansion of the use and easement may contribute to increased maintenance and associated costs with which both parties to the easement would need to resolve. That concludes Planning and Development recommendation.
Call for the vote. Yep, call for the vote. I'm way back on the other thing. Call for the vote. Call for a motion.
I did the last one.
Motion to deny. Second.
All right, so there was a motion to approve the denial. Is that right? Yes. For SB 2303. We want you to do a roll call vote. So Commissioner O'Neill, how do you vote?
Yes to approve the denial.
Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
Commissioner Boozer?
Yes.
Commissioner Prince? Spence, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
All right, so SB 2303 has been approved.
Anything else, Madam Director?
That's all we have.
Good. Nothing on legal, from legal?
City Marijuana Department, nothing but legal, sir.
Oh, I do have one thing. We, just to give you all an update, we will we're still making progress on hiring a consultant to update the zoning ordinance, so we'll be bringing that back to y'all when that happens later on this year. So that's still on your radar. We're going to try to incorporate some of those changes you all wanted. That's still on the radar. I just wanted to make sure y'all were aware of that. I meant to tell you in the main meeting. So that's still under pursuit. And that's it.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Motion to approve the minutes. You need a motion to adjourn? You need a motion to adjourn?
Oh, really? They are? Well, they should have told us. Yeah, I kept my coat.